Hello again. So I have my little girl watching the iPad, so hopefully she won't be too loud. I'm going to try to get this video done pretty quickly. My husband's on the way back with my kid from Taekwondo. So, which 4 and 5 year olds doing Taekwondo is the cutest thing in the world. Anyway, so I have read a whole lot of books this year for 2024, and I'm filming this video in August, and I just started my YouTube channel, so I decided I would go back and do a video for each month for the past year and just call it catch-up videos or I don't know, something like that. So this is the first one. I'm just gonna go through the books that I read that particular month, what I thought about them, like a short little impression, and who the audio, because okay, hold on. So I'm going to talk about the book, the author, how long the book is, because I do audiobooks pretty much exclusively. So anyway, I'll mention how long in time it is. My impression, the audio narrator, what I thought, like whether they were good or not. I went back and I started keeping records after I've read these books, like long after. And so I can't really remember on all of them how I felt about the narrator. But, and then if there is a movie or film adaptation, screen adaptation of the movie or book. Anyway, so this one is for January. Sorry, I keep looking at myself and not at the camera. I'm new to YouTube. I did it several years ago and got very comfortable, but right now I'm just coming back, so I'm going to have to learn everything again. So I've got notes. None of my videos are going to be like super edited and fancy. So you know what? I don't get on YouTube to look at booktube. I don't necessarily, I'm not looking for these very beautiful videos. They're nice. I like them. That's great. I'm getting on to find out what you thought about a book. So since that's what I'm looking for, that's what I'm going to probably present. So you're not going to see crazy fancy editing. I'll do a little bit here and there, but, and maybe over time I'll do better, but whatever. Anyway, so I have my notes. Okay. So, and then I'll also talk about, well, here, we'll just go. So I read A Woman of No Importance by Sonia Purnel. It was 13 hours and 54 minutes, which for me, that's a pretty decent book. My average, I think, is around 10 hours, but this was just slightly more. The audio narrator was Juliet Stevenson, and as far as I know, there is no film screen adaptation. So I rated this one at a 4 out of 5 stars. I started doing half-star points later on in the year. So when I did this, so I may have given this one more or less. But just in remembering it, and I'm going in order of what I read them. I may change that order up down in the future, but for now, this is how I'm doing it. It's about a woman who was a spy during World War II. And it's an interesting book. I felt like sometimes it got a little long, and it could just be where I was in my life at that moment. So like I said, I have 2 very small children. One is 4.5 and one will be 2 in like 2 weeks. So when I'm listening to an audiobook, I usually only listen like at night after they've gone to bed, or like while I'm doing dinner and or if they're doing some of their either playing together or playing by themselves. I don't usually listen when I'm interacting with them. So anyway, So I guess I thought that was a pretty good book. I don't remember a whole lot about it. But I did find it interesting. That's all I remember. So then I read Killers of the Flower Moon, The Osage Murders, and the Birth of the FBI, which I felt like that book was less about the birth of the FBI. It had some of that, and it was enough to make me really want to like read more about the birth of that, because there was so much corruption in the early days. Not saying whatever. Anyway, it's by David Grann, which I have read. This one was my second. Yeah, this was my second book, and then I immediately read another book by him. So I really like his writing style. I can tell why people wouldn't like his writing style. He's an investigative reporter, so it's just a flood of facts coming at you, and I like it. Anyway, what a devastating time in history. But anyway, it was a little bit over 9 hours long. I gave it a 5-star rating. I didn't enjoy it. I liked it in that I was getting the information. It's not something that you enjoy. You know what I mean? Like, it's a terrible, terrible thing that happened. The audio narrators were Will Patton, Anne Marie Lee, and Danny Campbell, and I thought they were good. And there is a film adaptation. It is mainly about the case and not about the birth of the FBI part. That was completely left out, which really, it's almost 2 separate books. And so I understand why they didn't bring that up in the movie. Anyway, good book. Highly recommend. Then I immediately read another David Grann book, and it's his 3rd book that I've read. It's the 3rd book by him that I've read. And it's The Lost City of Z, A Tale of Deadly Obsession in the Amazon. It was 10 hours long. Mark Deakins did the narration, the audiobook narration. And I thought he was good. And there is a film, and I haven't seen it yet. So that's on my list of things to watch this year. But it was very good. I really liked it. And it spans over the past, it goes way back in the past and then to present time. And it's a very interesting book. I found out about him by listening to a podcast where he was being interviewed, and he talked about that trip. So I thought, well, I should read that. I've read The Wager, but I read that last year. It's about a ship that it was just a bad, horrible situation. So anyway, that was a very interesting book as well. So then I read The Kingdom, the Power, and the Glory, American Evangelicals in the Age of Extremism by Tim Alberta. And that was 18 hours and 16 minutes long. That was a long book for me. Possibly one of the longest. I have a lot more on my list of really long books to read, but that was long for me now. Sorry, had to take a break for a second. So Tim Alberta did the narration for it, and I thought he did a fantastic job. I am a Christian, and I have not been very happy with the way the American church has responded to the political environment at the moment. And I thought his book was fantastic. I gave it a 5-star. It was fantastic. Because of the politics at the moment, it is a controversial topic, and I don't really think it should be. But I have opinions. I am reading a lot of books on how the church is responding to politics at the moment, and needless to say, I am not, well, I guess it is needed for me to say, but I am not happy with how the church is responding to politics at the moment. And I thought his book was fantastic. So if you want to kind of know how I'm feeling about it, read that book. Anyway, I thought he did a fantastic job. Let's see. Then I read The Handmaid's Tale, that is a series. I didn't know. I guess it's a duology. I don't really plan on reading the second one because I've heard it's very different and most people don't like the second one. I might. I haven't put it out of my idea, but it's not something I'm just running out to buy or to get right now. Anyway, it's by Margaret Atwood. It is 12 hours and 6 minutes long. I listened to the one that Claire Danes did the narration, and she did a fantastic job. And I have not seen the TV show, even though I do know that the TV show is different than the book. It's similar, but not the same. Anyway, I gave it a 5-star. I thought it was fantastic. And yeah. So then I read Major Pettigrew's Last Stand by Helen Simonson. It's 13 hours long. Paul Altschuler. I'm not sure if I can pronounce all these people's names correctly. Altschuler. He did the narration. I gave it a 4-star, but the more I think back on it, it probably was a good 4 to 4.5 star. It was a very sweet. I'm not a fan of romance, but this is the kind of romance I like. It's just a very sweet romance between a widow and a widower. I don't know. A guy who lost his wife and a lady who lost her husband. And what was very interesting is that was she Pakistani? She was, and he was this major from the army, he wasn't rich, but he was like more upper class, the fancy, I guess, British men. Anyway, they started dating, and it was kind of scandalous because they're not usually the type that would get together. And she was like a shop owner, and he was, a little more upper class. So it was just so sweet because anyway, good book. Apparently there are plans to turn this into a movie, but I don't know. There's not been any movement, but there's plans apparently. Then I read Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jesse Sutanto. It was a book club that I'm in. It was their first pick, or it was the pick of the first time I went. It was 10 hours and 41 minutes long. Eunice Wong did the audio narration. She did a fantastic job. I loved it. Apparently there are plans to turn it into either like a miniseries or a TV show or something. I gave it a 4-star rating. I think I had given it a higher star, and then when we talked about it at book club, I was like, well, yeah, they brought up a few things that I had seen at the time but had forgotten about, and I was like, yeah, you're right. So I did knock it down to like a 4, but it was so cute. A cozy murder, found family, like it's lovely. So I recommend it. Then I read Making It So, the memoir by Patrick Stewart, and he narrated it, and he did a fantastic job because he's Patrick Stewart. It was 18 hours and 50 minutes long. That was a long one. I don't think there's any plans to make it into a movie. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was fantastic. I love Patrick Stewart. We are big Trekkies in our house. I mean, we thought about going to on the Star Trek cruise this past year, but we decided not to. Our kids are still so small. I don't know if I feel comfortable leaving them for that long, but anyway, it was we are big fans of Star Trek in our house. So I mean, we like all sci-fi, really, almost all. But I thought it was very, very good. And he talked about when his brother died, I think. It's been so long since I've read this. Anyway, my father died last July, and so I read this in January, and he said a lot of things that kind of, hit me just right after having lost my father. So it was a good, I thought. So for for January, I read a total of 8 books, 5 5-star books, 3 4-star books. And I will say that I think I've gotten more strict as the year has gone on. So some of my star ratings may start to show that. So anyway, that was my January. I will make another video soon, probably looking exactly the same, because I hope to try to get at least one more video in before they get back. And then maybe after that I'll have a wardrobe change and maybe my hair fixed. I just got out of the shower, and so I didn't really do anything to my hair. So here are some of my plants. And anyway, thank you for watching. Subscribe, and you can find me on Instagram and Facebook, kind of. I went ahead and made a Facebook page, but we'll see. And yeah, so hope you guys have a great weekend and get some reading done.